you so much.
Thank you, Catherine. We have roughly 4 minutes left. We can start social time early if nobody else has any thoughts. Okay, well, our next presenter will start at noon. And that will be, I believe that will be Bridget Schvarcz from ETAI at 12. But in the meantime, we open up the Zoom room to just talk, socialize, chat, get a cup of coffee, stretch your legs, walk around.
Welcome back, everybody. So I hope you've enjoyed the sessions up to now, as well as the social time. Thank you, Anastasia, for being the host for almost 2 hours plus. Wow. Thank you. All right, so we're going to move on to our next session, which is entitled Maintaining an English Teachers Association During the Pandemic. So this is from our affiliate ETAI, which is our affiliate of TISA International in Israel. So we have together with us Bridget Schvarcz, and I'm going to introduce her to talk to a little bit about her. So Bridget Schvarcz is the head of the EAP unit at ITEA College of Engineering and a teacher educator for the Israeli Ministry of Education. She is a member of the TESOL Teacher Educator Intersection Leadership Group and serves as the current chair of ETAI. Bridget is finishing her PhD in theoretical linguistics. Her research deals with expression of countability in language. Now, the session where ETAI is going to be presented today, which is Maintaining an English Teachers Association During the Pandemic, is when the COVID-19 pandemic has forced English teachers associations around the world to face new challenges to keep the business going. So you're going to hear about how ETAI, the English Teacher Associations of Israel, handles these challenges while at the same time ensures relevance and sociocultural diversity, even in these trying times. The group is going to share tips for attracting new members, the success story of transforming the conference into virtual events, and expand the connections within the Ministry of Education and the program for offering professional development credit for teachers. As we said at the beginning, we have Bridget Schvarcz, which is going to be the presenter, as well as Lisa Liebhoff, Michelle Ben, and Leah Sullivan. Thank you very much for coming today, and you can start sharing your screen.
Thank you for the lovely introduction, Georges. Let me... Okay, you can see the full screen now, right? The entire presentation. Okay, great, because sometimes that doesn't work. So good morning or afternoon, everyone, depends on where in the world you're joining us from. To illustrate the close collaboration on our board, I will be presenting together with Lisa Liebhoff, one of ETAI's vice chairs, Leo Sullivan, ETAI's international liaison, an author, a blogger, and a presenter, and Michelle Ben, past ETAI chair and our current in-service training program coordinator. So a little bit about us and who we are. In 1979, the Chief Inspector of English of Israel back then, Raphael Geffen, together with a group of enthusiastic teachers, put forward the idea of organizing an association focusing on the professional development of the country's English teachers. ETAI works in close, still up to this day, ETAI works in close collaboration with the Inspectorate of the Ministry of the English Inspectorate of Ministry of Education of Israel, and holds joint professional development events. You will hear about our Ministry of Education ties and professional development training programs from Michelle later during this presentation. ETAI has been a faithful TESOL affiliate for 28 years, first as ISRA TESOL and then later as ETAI. Our members presented at TESOL convention, international TESOL conventions, and are actively involved in special interest groups. Some have even been members of the TESOL board of directors and past convention chairs. And as Georges mentioned, I'm a part of the teacher education intersection leadership team. And we just had a joint event with the teacher education intersection just this last Thursday. Our loyalty is illustrated by this image. In 2019, ETAI matched its colors to the 2019 TESOL convention team. As you can see, we are all yellow, and the color of the 219 convention in Atlanta was also yellow. Actually, our last face-to-face convention back in the good old days. That was totally accidental, but it was very nice that our colors worked together very well. A little bit more about us. ETAI is a grassroots voluntary organization concerned with the professional development of English teachers who work in all sectors at all levels of education: elementary, junior high, secondary school, college, and university. ETAI is led by 11 enthusiastic National Executive Committee members who give their time and energy after school to organize and speak at conferences and write for our newsletter, the ETAI Forum. ETAI is a small country, Israel is a small country, therefore Israel is the other way around, apologies. So Israel is a small country and therefore ETAI is a small organization. The number of English teachers in Israel is currently assessed at 14,000. And now comes a shocking number. The current active ETAI, the number of current active ETAI members is somewhere between 300 and 400. And I've given a range because sometimes memberships expire, sometimes new people join. But the ratio between these numbers, 400 to 14,000, is not very good. English teachers do not want to become members of a professional organization, and why that is, it could actually be the topic of an entire presentation, but in a nutshell, basically it comes down to a financial reason. Teachers believe that they should not pay for membership. Our membership fee is relatively low. It's about $50 for 12 months. The price of a monthly cup of coffee. And nevertheless, it's very sad, but we work with what we have, and those 400 matter and represent the multi-ethnic and multilingual setup of Israel. ETAI is unique in its kind. It embraces various ethnic groups. Today's teachers from Christian, Druze, Circassian, Muslim, and Jewish background from all over the country make up the body of our members. Not only ETAI unites teachers cross-culturally, but also enables isolated teachers who is the sole English professional at his or her school to exchange ideas and network and come together at our events. Our teachers face daily challenges rooting in the multilingual society that we live in. Let us not forget that a large percentage of children in Israel are embarking on a journey of learning a third language. So for some of them, Hebrew is the native language, and then they learn English as foreign language. Some speak Arabic at home, and we have a diagnostic situation there. Some speak Russian, Amharic, Spanish, and other languages as their first languages in their homes, and then Hebrew as the language of the nation. So ETAI is an essential support for our English teachers who are themselves sometimes speakers of other languages, but Hebrew or even native speakers of English. So we really try to be all encompassing and support everyone. Our aims are three-pronged. First of all, we promote professional excellence of the English teaching profession in Israel, enhance the level of English learning by Israeli students. We ensure a platform for professional learning communities where teachers can provide support for one another, and not only support, but also share practical teaching ideas through study days and conferences. We foster universal humanistic values as an integral part of the teaching English in the Israeli education system. ETAI sees the teaching of English as an international language contributing towards global understanding and peace. So that was about us, and I would like to tell you about our events, BC, and BC doesn't stand for Before Christ, it stands for Before Corona. So before Corona, ETAI organized mini conferences, 1, 2, or even 3-day conferences, special events and speakers, all for the benefit of all English teachers in the country. And we are, of course, open to teachers from other countries as well. The value of professional development cannot be underestimated, as as everyone, new teachers, veteran teachers, and those in between, can gain from listening to talks from experts, sharing ideas with like-minded peers, and making new acquaintances. Speakers at conferences provide their services for free, the majority of them being practicing teachers. And all of these combine to enable us to define and improve our own teaching strategies, abilities, and of course to keep the organization going. In order to accommodate, I'm missing an I there, apologies. In order to accommodate teachers in all geographical areas, traditionally our back to school summer conference takes place in the north of the country. And our spring conference most of the time is in the south of the country, and we hold one winter event in East Jerusalem as well. So we try to really accommodate everybody across geographically as well. That's the our geographical considerations. To supplement these major conferences, we also hold a number of mini conferences at different times throughout the year. These are the local 4-hour events held after school hours to cater for the needs of teachers in specific areas. So these are our mini conferences. These minis are free for ETAI members, and non-members pay a small entrance fee. We also pay attention to the linguistic and ethnic background of our speakers, trying to ensure a makeup that includes non-native English speakers and also speakers from the Arab sector, speakers of Arabic L1. And as we all know, in the space of a very short time, life around the world has changed caused by a rapid and dangerous virus that crashed into our lives. We all had to face that the unimaginable is possible, and we all had to quickly adapt to a new reality. And as teachers, we were all expected to suddenly make the leap from traditional face-to-face teaching to delivering lessons, managing classrooms, and forming connections in front of computer screens. And teacher associations were forced to move the business into the virtual place and provide support for their members and for the new challenges that distance learning and teaching created. The pandemic hit ETAI right in the middle of the preparations of our 2020 spring conference. We had to go from vibrant auditoria. Here are some pictures of our past face-to-face events back in the good old days. So we had to go from this vibrant reality to the uncertain and yet unknown reality of little boxes on a screen. So Leo and Lisa, our spring conference coordinators, will now tell you about their vision of transforming our spring conference into a very successful online event. So we went from this, and you can actually see canceled, into that. So they will tell you about that process right now. Leo, Lisa, the floor is yours.
Hi. So Bridget, thank you so much for putting the picture of the spring conference. I saw it today when I was going through everything, and I actually wanted to cry, because as you all know, when you put together a program, you work so hard on it. And as I was putting together this program, everyone kept saying, is it going to happen? Is it going to happen? Is it going to happen? And it did not happen. Next slide. So literally overnight it was gone. And what was left was this vacuum of where did it go? Along with panic of, oh my God, we're all going to die. Along with emergency adrenaline shots with how do I shift my teaching to going online? And all of this was just going in this huge cycle and tornado and storm. And we were all trying to figure out how to hang on to something. And Leo and I were very disappointed, as was Bridget and everyone else, and all the participants that wanted to attend the conference, that the conference had been canceled. Meanwhile, we were all working so hard to revamp our teaching skills online. Leo?
So yeah, we felt like we were inundated by all these technological tools that were thrown at us as teachers by, because both Lisa and I, we work in several colleges. We're both freelancers. So, and for every college, the move to distance learning, to or remote teaching, if you like, was accompanied by a number of workshops, usually given by tech people, by those who are in charge of colleges' learning platforms such as Moodle, who know very little about pedagogy, thus adding to our frustration.
Right. So Leo would call me up and say, I can't believe we just wasted an hour on that conference. You and I could have done it in our sleep. And no one's talking about pedagogy. They're all talking about zooming in, zooming out, recording, not recording, cameras on, cameras off. Nobody's talking about pedagogy. And then he came to me a couple of days later and says, Lisa, what if we change the conference that you had planned and put it online? Let's do it on Zoom and let's focus on pedagogy. Forget about technology. Let's redo it. And we went to the ETAI board and immediately got a yes. And Leo and I ran into it. Your turn, Leo. Next slide, right? Yeah, okay.
Well, actually, I thought, Lisa, you would talk about how you contacted
so the first step was, first of all, we wanted to keep it as similar, even though we were online, we wanted to keep it as similar as we had already done. So we had already our speakers. We needed to change our plenary speakers. I'll let Leo discuss that. But we had our parallel speakers, which is something that we do in ETAI when we have a conference, is we have a lot of parallel speakers, which TESOL also does. And I went back to the original speakers and sent them an email and said, who would be willing to change their talk to giving it online? And is your talk relevant for remaining focusing on pedagogy in this virtual world? So they had to meet both criteria. One, that they were comfortable speaking online, and two, that they could convert their talk, or their talk was already interactive and could be virtual. Once I got the responses back, then Leo went and started looking for our plenary speakers, which was also extremely important.
Okay, then another important step was sort of to run this briefing session. Bridget, can you please?
Wait, but Leo, before we do the briefing session, I think it's important to talk about who we chose for our plenary speakers and our closing speakers, because that was really a really important part.
Okay.
So it was your idea to choose Susan Gallant because you said she really focuses on how to be pedagogical. In other words, we had a very strong theme, and the theme was how to maintain professional excellence and teach our students to be active participants, even though we're in a virtual world. So Leo is an expert of knowing connections and knowing people, and he picked fabulous speakers, plenary and closing speakers for that. Okay, now, next step.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot to mention how great at least it is so much better.
That's why you need me.
We also wanted to have sort of, since this kind of a platform allowed us also to have speakers joining us from abroad, which we normally wouldn't have at a small regional event. We would have like at our international conference every few years, but this kind of opened us. So we had speakers also joining us from Ireland, from Spain, and we had another sort of expert on educational technology, Gavin Dudney from the UK, who was plenary speaker at one of the in-person ETAI conferences a few years before that. So this is just a slide I wanted to show you. We ran the session for moderators and presenters, which we felt was very important to organizing an online event. At that point, we didn't have much experience organizing online events. And my only experience was through attending other online conferences. So we invited all the presenters and moderators sort of to explain how this day is going to work out, outline the responsibilities of each one. So what, who's the host of the meeting, who's the co-host. Another very important thing was how do we sort of preserve this ambience, of a conference with parallel sessions and with networking in the breaks, and we try to really sort of to retain that spirit of an in-person conference in this online environment. So Bridget, if you can show the next slide, please. So the idea was to have sort of, it wasn't just a half-day event, but how do we have parallel sessions on Zoom? So what do we do? So basically, the idea we came up with was basically that each of the presenters, so each of the presenters, basically, what you see now on the screen. Unfortunately, I cannot annotate on the screen. I would have show it to you. So basically, we asked each presenter to set up their own Zoom meeting. Okay, and at that point, thanks to Zoom's generosity, most educators had been upgraded to unlimited account. They could have an unlimited, well, up to 300 people in the room, and also there was a time limit of 40 minutes had been removed. So you see, this way we kind of we went around of this, you know, as all teachers associations were strapped for cash, so we could now invest in, you know, Zoom technology, etc. So basically, it was all done sort of bottom up, you know, grassroots as the, you know, ethos of our organization to begin with. So all the presenters themselves set up their Zoom rooms. Okay, and basically what you see now, this is a preliminary program. On the day of the conference, we published like a final program where all the names of the sessions or the titles of the talks became hyperlinks, and this is how people sort of navigated between sessions. It was new for everyone, and of course there was lots of confusion, so we explained exactly how it's going to work, how you're going to move from room to room, etc. So Lisa, over to you.
Yes, so a couple of things that Leo mentioned shortly, and I want to go into more detail. We met with everyone first, and we had a preliminary meeting. Every speaker had a moderator to answer the questions, to help people come in. For the most, oh, and we live streamed it. We actually made the plenary and the last roundtable, we live streamed it on Facebook, and people were a little frustrated because we only had 300 slots and they couldn't get in, so they ended up being on Facebook. But what we did is we kept the integrity of the ETAI schedule, and we just adapted it, and it worked. The energy was there, and I think we really planned it out well, and everybody really wanted to come, and the topic was relevant. So I think that's a really important thing. Whatever it is you're going to do, it needs to be relevant, because nobody has time to sit on Zoom anymore unless they're going to be getting something that's super important. Okay. Next slide.
Now I think, do we have some more time to talk about the book exhibition if we have time?
Oh yes, I forgot. Yes. So the one more thing,
Yeah.
and then I'll leave
So
it to you.
I'll briefly explain it basically. Of course, we're looking for ways. Well, we need to generate some income. At that point, I mean, now most teachers associations charge people money for online events. We didn't know even how we would set it up, and also as Lisa said, we just wanted to reach out to our members and to help them through these difficult times. This was April. This was like second month of emergency online teaching. So, but we wanted also to generate some income for the association. So and also, again, as I said, to preserve this kind of traditional format and the integrity of our conference, we wanted to have a book exhibition. So we decided how we're going to have a book exhibition. So let's do it digitally. So basically, what we had on the conference website, we had on the conference website, we had a presentation running in the background. You can see it now. Well, actually, we took it off a few days after the conference because the publishers, the exhibitors, that had paid only for a certain number of days. I put it up now, especially for you just to see what it would look like. So basically, the digital exhibition ran here in the background. And also, in addition, you see there was a link where they could go and visit. It's something we put together on, it's a digital tool called Scoop It, which you normally use for collecting, or for bookmarking, sort of for collecting different, it's like sort of like favorites you collect online and you add them. So we use them for the online exhibition because basically all the participants could click on the links and visit the websites of our exhibitors and become familiar with what they had to offer. Some of them came out with special offers, especially for the conference on that day. Yep, Bridget.
So I just before we end it, what we did actually, Bridget, can you do the last slide, because it's a picture and I think it's important. One more slide. This was just feedback. We had a feedback form. Okay. So what we really did is during the breakout, we really made it fun. So we didn't do breakout rooms, but we told everybody to bring a cup of coffee, and we chit chatted and we took pictures and we shared ideas, and we kept to the two themes. Was relevant for teachers. We wanted our members to get something that would be important for them, that would help them during this crisis. And also we wanted our book vendors to realize that ETAI was still there, that we could still accommodate them. And I think that the first was so successful that we've modeled our other two events. One was a 2-day event and one was our annual back to school event, using the same format. And for the most part, they've been very well received. And though people miss the one-on-one contact, and I know we all really do want that again, in some ways it's made it accessible, because as Bridget said, we've got people in the north and the south and the east and the west, and this eliminated the need for travel and still made us feel connected and recharged. So
and I just wanted to add that not only sort of this set the template for future ITEA conferences, for ISVA conferences to come, the ones in the summer, it also in a way paved the way for other online conferences in Israel, who, I mean, I believe they copied our format really, because they really like this idea of starting with a plenary and then parallel sessions and finishing with something more like a roundtable. All the other conferences that were organized by various, higher education institutions, various other conferences, they really followed our format. And for one, I was invited by the Minister of Education to be sort of a consultant when they were organizing their summer school, because they really wanted to learn from our experience.
And we work with a great support staff. Michelle was there the whole way, Bridget, other members of ETAI. So that's also really important. You can't do it alone. The two of us, we definitely did not do it alone. We had the initiative, we did the grunt work, but we had an amazing support system. So if you want a success, it's relevancy, accessibility, planning, and support. I think that does it all. And
Thank you so much, Lisa and Leo. Thank you. That's a lot of our efforts to maintain ETAI today. So first and foremost, let me stress that we still hold the same events as we did in the pre-corona times, the mini conferences, the one-day conferences, the 2-day summer conference, but everything in virtual space. Conferences have been a significant income for us. Not only we charge a symbolic participation fee, but also book publishers pay for exhibiting their materials, and all this is gone now. And we realized that we cannot and do not want to police who paid and who didn't for the conference. So we decided to open up our conference as free of charge for the benefit of all teachers in the country. Not only ETAI members, but we made sure to highlight that ETAI is a voluntary organization, and in order to sustain the association, we financially depend on the revenue of memberships, and thus we asked teachers to join ETAI or renew their expired memberships during the conference, and we hoped that people would do so. Each conference indeed has brought in a handful of members, but still not enough, and therefore, as Leo mentioned, we had to be creative. So there are some of our efforts to maintain the organization. Online materials, I will expand on each and every one of them. And as Leo already mentioned, we moved our book exhibition. So we went from whatever you see on the right and left side of the screen to what Leo has just shown you, online book exhibitions. In our summer conference, we also had sponsored breaks and commercial presentations, and we could charge the book publishers and other ELT material providers for a 20-minute break. They gave a commercial presentation. This was in our summer conference. So that was another way of bringing in money. We came up this year, we came up with an idea of member-only events. Penny Orr, I'm sure many of you know her, have heard of her. She's worldly renowned for her contribution to the ELT field. And she gave a member-only event for us, which brought in nearly 50 people, 22 new members and 37 renewals. And that is a significant amount of income for us. If you can do the math, if you multiply these numbers by about $50 US, and that actually keeps us going this year. In order to support the teachers in times of need, we have a special issue of our newsletter, the ETAI Forum. We had a special COVID-19 issue, which just came out was it about 2 weeks ago, Lisa? And it's currently being mailed to all of our members, and it is available only to our members. So the form is another benefit that our members get. They do get a hard copy of it to their homes.
I want to say something about the form too. It's not just that our members are allowed to publish in it. So they can publish letters to the editor, they can publish professional articles, they can publish articles from the heart, poems. We've had poems. So it's both ways. It's to be able to be read by our members and for our members to be able to express themselves.
And I will hand it over now to Michelle, who will tell us about our in-service training credit program.
Okay, hello everybody. An additional members-only program that we have is in-service training credit. Now, many teachers organizations when I went to TESOL in the US to the conference, I discovered that, teachers were running around having the session presenters sign their form, and they were getting in-service credit hours. But in Israel, it doesn't work like that. You have to be registered for a course that's recognized by the Ministry of Education. And it used to be that you could get hours by signing up in ETAI, and then ETAI would give the names of the people who attended to the Ministry of Education. But they changed the format here in the country with a new teachers new contract. And you have to have either 30 hours or 60 hours to get in-service training credit. And we managed to get our conferences recognized as a 30-hour course. And how do we do that? So it's done by organizing the lectures, the mini conferences, the couple day conferences, as hours. And it's very flexible because we give more than 30 hours of events during the year if you count up all the hours that we have between our conferences. And so people can choose 30 hours of events, either everyone has to go to the summer conference, which is a 2-day event, but they can go to either of the 1-day conferences, and they can go to a mini, and they can go to a couple of lectures during the year, and that fills up their 30 hours. After each event, they fill out a reflection form, which serves as their attendance form, and it's a requirement as part of their work. Now, how does this fill a need? What happened was teachers need to take, they're required to take professional development in their subject area. But what happened was that schools give general in-service training, and then teachers don't take professional things in their subject area. And teachers needed that. And ETAI, this format made an easy way for teachers to be able to get their professional subject matter development as in-service training. And another way, as Lisa mentioned, you can get in-service training credit is writing an article for the ETAI forum. Can we have the next slide? Do I have another slide? Bridget, hello? Okay, so another thing that we do to help support members and maintain membership is we have cooperation with the Ministry of Education. So there are a few ways we do that. We consult with the Chief Inspector of English and try and coordinate our dates according to the calendar, so we don't end up having events on days of national testing. And I must say, we have in our membership, we have a lot of active teachers in the public school system, as opposed to many other teachers organizations where most of the members are in higher education. We also have teachers in higher education, and we strive to try and attract more. Okay, and one thing that you can see in page 48 of the document of professional standards for English teachers, which is a professional, which is a document which came out to encourage teachers, English teachers, to be more professional. It mentions participating in conferences and professional learning communities, which ETAI is. In the past, ETAI was mentioned in this document and hopefully will be mentioned again when it gets edited. Next slide. Yeah. Okay. And we also cooperate with teacher training colleges, but some of our events, we try and have at least one student conference event during the year. It depends on the teacher trainers who are ETAI members, but very often teacher training colleges are required to take their students on a field trip. And very often our conferences are their field trip. Even with the online now, I've been in touch with a couple of the teachers from teacher training colleges, and they asked me about our events and would they be appropriate for pre-service teachers. And yes, because they can choose the session. As you saw the format, you know, the plenaries are usually relevant to everybody, and they can choose which session they're interested in going to. And this then exposes pre-service teachers to the existence of ETAI. And afterwards, we hope that they will then join and maintain membership throughout their teaching career. In addition, we have a teachers trainers SIG, which hopefully now is becoming more active. It was very active for a while, became less active, and now it's
Starting up again.
being revived, which is great. And we have future plans for an annual peer-reviewed edition of the ETAI Forum, which could hopefully count for people in the academic world having their articles recognized. And as Bridget said again and again, we try and cater to all sectors of our population. And Israel is a very, very, very diverse country in terms of religion, socioeconomic background, native tongue. It's very, very diverse, but we try and accommodate all the different segments of our population so people in our conferences can feel comfortable. And the beauty of our conferences really is that we all get along and we all manage to reinforce the importance of using English as a language of communication and helping our students know English for their own professional development and professional future. And that's the beauty of ETAI. So I'm done.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Michelle. We are almost done. These were our humble words of wisdom and advice. And we hope that we managed to have inspired some other organizations. And I would like to conclude with a quote. Embrace each challenge in your life as an opportunity for self-transformation. Rethinking and reinventing our practices as professionals and as English Teachers Associations while looking for the opportunities is critical at all times, but it becomes especially evident and critical in these challenging times of the COVID-19 pandemic. Thank you for listening. Here are our contact details. This is our website. Follow us on Facebook, English Teachers Association Israel, ETAI. And if you have any questions, feel free to email our office at etaioffice@gmail.com and attend our conferences in this academic year. They're all online. Geography is no longer an issue. Thank you.